Hi there.
Hello.
Who is that?
Hi guys. Happy
Thursday.
David and I just have a little gap in our day and wanted to invite you into some of what we've been thinking about, chatting about today. We value and work pretty hard to try to be genuine and model vulnerability as much as we possibly can. But that is something that is actually pretty hard for us. It doesn't come super easily. I think in part because of our personality and part of our, value as a family and as a couple is that optimism, positivity, gratitude, seeing the silver lining or seeing the good in things and people is our default. We work hard to make that happen. It comes relatively easy in part because of practice, but also it's part of our personalities. We're both optimists, and being able to kind of look at the positive in things is something that we really value and we do a lot of. Positivity is very important to us. We always want to add value. That being said, one thing that is harder for us and is a growth area is experiencing the feelings that aren't so positive. Recognizing the trauma in ourselves or others and feeling the feelings, because we have a tendency to sort of rush towards, well, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna work out, we're grateful for what we have, those kind of things, which again are really important to us and valuable. But recently we have been really learning that there is also value in making a space in our own lives and in the lives of the people that we know and love for error, sadness, frustration, disappointment, trauma, and that's something that we're working to increase our awareness and skill around. Yesterday our car was stolen. Honestly, it was a little inconvenient and
a little funny
and a little silly, but our default really was like, it's okay, we're not dependent on having two cars,
we're gonna be fine,
we're gonna be okay, it's gonna work out, it's not a big deal. Just kind of going through our gratitude, which again is a skill that we value. But this morning during our quiet time, David and I were kind of talking and reflecting a little bit about like, ooh, maybe this is something we should give a little space to, recognizing the things that kind of suck about what happened.
Well, and it just points to other things, right? So like whenever something like that happens, it can bring up awareness of other situations, right, where you go, maybe this is not a traumatic situation, but perhaps it's okay to be upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
And what other areas of our lives have we ignored that where it's okay to be mad about this, okay to be upset about this,
Yeah.
to be sad about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those things that we struggle with of giving ourselves time for that, because me personally, I want to move on. Like I'm the type that if I'm stuck in a pit, I don't want to stay stuck in a pit, and I don't want to hang out with other people that want to stay stuck in a pit. I want to find somebody that's been in the pit but found a way out. And so I find myself both being drawn to those kinds of people and also being one of those that is like, okay guys, yeah, it sucks down here, but let's get out. But the deal is that sometimes I think what we're finding, and we read in was it Corinthians this morning, where Paul says he's talking about the thorn in his flesh, and he's talking about, I prayed so many times to have this thing removed, but it never was removed, as far as we know, and ultimately that idea that God's power is made perfect in our weakness, And you know, it was just kind of a divine thing that we read that for our devotions this morning, because it's that thing of like, well, maybe there's something we have to learn about God, about ourselves, but also about God, in just sort of sitting in our weakness for a little while, you know. And so, which is really really hard.
Well, and for me, it's that piece of dependence on God and recognition of his power, his authority, and that humility of saying, you know what, when I am not at my best, or feeling frustrated, or feeling sad, God can handle that too. And in fact, there's some really, really important parts of his character that when I'm not honest with myself or the other people in my life about feeling that way, I'm missing out on experiencing that part of God's character, finding the strength and the value in those parts of my own story and the parts of others' stories, if I don't make a space for that. And so that's our reflection, that's our learning. If you are someone that we love and we have not made space for your less than positive feelings, we want to apologize. It is something we are learning to get better at. We're practicing it in our own life, and on good days we do
really
well
good
with it, and on bad days we gloss it over, and we're dishonest with ourselves, and we
move on
too quickly in order to avoid. And we've avoided some healing opportunities. We've avoided some pain in our own stories because of that, and that's something that I think we're gonna be practicing some this year. So.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of David and Bethany vulnerability, something that does not come easily to us, but we are seeing its value, and it is worth the work for us. So join us in our journey. If you're further along than us, and this is something you've already learned, please share your wisdom with us. We would like to hear it. Hey, Cammie. That's your Thursday afternoon wisdom from the Johnsons.
Wisdom?
Vulnerability.
I mean, maybe there's wisdom there, but I'd hate for us to say that.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's wisdom.
Wisdom because of our failure, and that we're trying to learn from it.